Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Well, a Kingdoms of Amalur podcast brought to you by the community at 38watch.com. In this episode, we discuss the legend of Dead Kel, our individual character builds that we've been playing the game with, and some of our plans for Project Copernicus as far as classes go. We also have another giveaway in this episode, so hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so our first topic is going to be our thoughts on The Legend of Dead Kel DLC. Rachel, I think you've played the most. What are your first thoughts?
I liked it. I haven't played all of it.
But you killed Dead Kel.
I did. Dead Kel is really dead. So I played through the main quest line. That was what I wanted to do before we recorded. So I basically pushed through the main quest line, which was relatively easy. When I started, my character was almost 26, and now she's almost 28. So, I'm sort of like a mid-range in my level, and I didn't really find anything that was all of that difficult. So it was funny. I was playing it through, and I get to Dead Kel at the end, and I killed him, and I was a little disappointed, which I've never been in a game before, that I get to, the end character, and it didn't even feel really challenging. It wasn't even as difficult as Baylor, who was easy. So I was a little disappointed about that. But, for a second, and then I was fine. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a lot of fun, actually. I loved the way they did the pirates, that all the undead guys were pirates, and I thought that was really cool. And again, I'm so in love with the captain, which is what I call her now. I just absolutely adore her, and I was so excited when I finished. Well, I don't know if I should say this, it's kind of spoilerish, and I was very worried about it in the beginning, so I don't want to, spoil it for anyone, but I was very happy at the end that things happened the way that they did, and that's what I'll say. But I do love her, and I continue to love her all the way through. She's been just a heck of a lot of fun to play with. And I will say that she probably has edged into my favorite NPC character now. I just adore her. I want to take her back with me and have her run around with me everywhere else. She's so much fun. So overall, I enjoyed it. It was pretty easy. I didn't think there was much difficult to it, but I thought they executed this pirate concept very well. So I'm excited to dig into the player housing, which is what I'm going to do next, and see what all they have there and what it's going to... I'm really excited to see what it's going to look like once it sort of gets towards the end, because right now you have this big courtyard around this mansion type building, and the courtyard's all filled with overgrowth of the jungle, and you go into the building and all the stairwells are blocked because rubble has fallen down on them, and it just looks like an old torn down building. So I'm really interested to see as I play through how they change that to look like the gnome is fixing it up and it's starting to look like a place you can inhabit. And I'm looking forward to meeting the people that come in and be the staff and stuff like that. So I think it should be fun.
That actually does sound kind of cool. I haven't seen the house or anything yet, but if it's going to evolve over time, I'm into that.
That's what it appears to be that it will do. At least I'm hoping that's what it will do. Because like I said, right now, you go into the courtyard and there's all these trees and, ferns and all this growth. And it doesn't look like this nice sort of cared for lawn, which is what I want it to be. So of course that's what I want it to be. So hopefully they will move it in that direction. But I have no idea because I haven't seen it yet.
Do you have any, what relation the Verga had? The Verga? Oh, I still can't do that. Moonguard's going to have my head. I know that it was supposed to be a little hinted at. Maybe get a little taste of what they're about. Is there anything in that other than maybe the statues?
Well, there's lots of statues. I think unfortunately, I didn't spend a heck of a lot of time looking at the architecture and stuff. And a lot of it seemed like the one of the big dungeons that you go through, it's all that, I don't know how to describe it, like that circly, wavy, yellow and bluish pattern that we've seen in other dungeons. So that is around a lot. So that really wasn't new. I did get, and this, this drives me crazy, I did get a bunch of different books that were titled like this about Diverga or that about Diverga, but you can't read any of them. So you like open it up and it says you need to find someone who, understands the Diverga language in order to be able to read this book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, like tease me a little bit more so I can want to know this just a little tiny bit more. So I've actually junked a bunch of those books just out of pure frustration. I've just thrown them, like I've junked them and then sold them. Just because I've been so frustrated. Now, I say that knowing in my mind that I plan on, and we're going to touch on this, I plan on going through the DLC again with another character. And so at some point, I hope, it is sort of my hope, that I will grab these books and I will find someone who can talk to me about them. But for the moment, they just sort of tease you, in my opinion. There are books there that say that they have information about the Diverga, but you can't actually read them. So I didn't, and like I said, I tried to play through quickly so I could at least get to the end of the main quest line. I didn't see anything that struck me other than the statues as that looks Diverga. But at the same time, I don't really know what I'm looking for either. So
I just want to say, for those of you that listened to episode 2, you might remember Narya teasing Bosner about something he was going to love in the game. It would turn out to be those dwarf statues all over the place.
They are everywhere. Everywhere. You cannot throw a stone without hitting a Diverga statue in the DLC.
To touch on the conversation we had last week about the technology in Amalur, I know a couple people on the watch had brought up the bombs that you were using. Do you feel that was a intrusion of technology into the game, or did that sort of feel like it belonged there? Like it wasn't something that they all of a sudden added, it drastically stood out from the vanilla version of the game?
No. Well, because if you think about it, gnolls, no matter where you play them, where you play against them, in vanilla, they have bombs. I mean, it's just something that they have. So I actually thought that the way they did it, where it's what you see it's like the very first dungeon you go through, you have to blow up this wall in order to get through it. And the captain is with you, and she's like, oh, we should use these bombs that the gnolls use. And it sort of makes sense. You're like, okay, that makes sense. We need to blow up this wall. We might as well use bombs. So you get some and you blow up the wall. And there's nothing else in the whole rest of the DLC. You don't do that anywhere else. You don't see any other technology that I can quickly think of that does that. So I don't think it was at all intrusive. It was sort of let's use this thing that these monsters that we come up against use. It makes sense in the context, and it really makes sense to me because her sort of personality is that way. We need to do this thing, and I have this bright idea to use this bomb to blow up this wall. I mean, it just sort of made sense to me. So in that respect, it doesn't. I don't think it breaks immersion at all, and I say that strongly because it's not the first time we have seen bombs, because we've seen the gnolls use them in other places.
Right.
So,
I had seen a shield that I was not really happy about. One of the major problems I have with other fantasy games is when they take the fantasy bit a bit far and they start using things as weapons and armor that really aren't weapons and armor. To throw back to WoW, you might be walking around with a creature's tooth and you're literally holding nothing but the tooth, and that's a dagger. Or you might be having a dragon's skull as a shoulder guard. And I saw a shield that was a porthole to the ship with some wooden planks tacked onto it. And it was something that I was happy to see had it really made its way into the vanilla version of the game, but I was kind of disappointed when I had saw that shield. Is there anything that drastically stands out that makes you draw the connection between that item and maybe anything else you found? Anything else that sort of could potentially seem out of place like that?
You know, I didn't really pay enough attention, and I think the problem was I was trying so hard to get through to the end that, like, I didn't stop and, like, open a lot of chests or stuff like that. I hate to say it, but I didn't even stop and look at the sword that I got off of Dead Kel after I killed him, because I sort of assumed it looked like the one that he was carrying around, so I didn't, like, look at it in my inventory. But I didn't really see anything that, you know, I picked up a hammer, and it sort of looked like a big long log with, like, tree pieces at the end. So, but that kind of stuff just doesn't really bug me that much, I guess. So I'm much less likely to sort of notice it than you are, I think. You're going to look at it and say, oh, I see that and I don't like it. And I might not.
To me, I was cool with the explosives in Dead Kill, just because it was something different to do while running around and questing, and who doesn't love explosions? As long as I don't see any friggin' motorcycles in Copernicus, I'm happy.
Or helicopters. So, Derek, how much of the DLC did you play? I don't remember what we talked about.
Okay. When I first got the DLC, I'm going to be honest, I played for about an hour, and I got bored. I just thought, no problems with the stories or characters, but I just felt like everything was trivial that I was fighting. It was too easy, so I just got bored and quit. I do like as far as characters and story go, I like it. I can't wait to finish it, and I really do like the captain as well, Narya. But what I did is there's a challenge on the forums. It's like called Desert Island or something, and basically you take off all your gear and you only choose one, treasured item to take with you, and you go and play Dead Kel. So that's what I did. Stripped off all my gear. I actually respec'd to a ranger Destiny, and started playing again. And it's much better that way. I just chose a Prismeer dagger to go with me. Like, nothing even that good, just something I found in a shop. So I'm kind of, like, weak. Still playing on normal. Might turn it up. And it's cool. Like, I'm taking it really slow. I'm actually, like, using fraps and recording all the conversations. I'll probably make some videos, some kind of little montages of Dead Kel at some point. And that way I can go back and look through all the dialogue and pick up things I missed in the story.
So I'm starting a new character, and sort of what I was going to do is, so I made a rogue to do the Traveler's quest line because I sort of want to roleplay my characters. And my character was a gallant knight that wouldn't have been stealing things and such. If you had to suggest, would you recommend someone going in at the minimum level? And perhaps the game is still sort of a challenge then, because you don't have all this overpowered gear unless you're blowing all your points into blacksmithing. Would that be something you recommend rather than a higher level character?
I bet you just a fresh character, like, once you get to level 10, whatever you got, just take it with you to the island. I bet you that would be a lot better experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think I'd be missing anything locking the levels that low?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I haven't done it, but...
Well, potentially, like, if you want to take that same character back and do all the main quests,
you're going to be
you gotta be careful.
Yeah, you're going to be ahead of the game everywhere else.
Okay. Well, something to think about for folks who are still haven't played it. A lower level character might make the experience more fun if you're experiencing a lack of difficulty.
Right. Well, and also, I mean, if you pick, like what Derek did, if you just completely pick a new, like, play style, then you won't, like, I've spent 40 hours so far playing the play style that I have, so everything I do is relatively easy because I'm used to it. But if I were to have scrapped Narya's play style and, picked up being a ranger instead, that would add a level of difficulty to it, because not only am I playing these against these mobs that are about the same level as me, but I'm having to learn how to do new things that I didn't have to do before.
Yeah, you got all these new abilities and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that would definitely add a level of complexity to it. And you're going to get that whether you're playing a new character at level 10 or whether you take your existing character and just redo their destiny. So one of the things I wanted to do at the beginning that I forgot about that I still want to do is at on the last show notes, we had a guy come and post a bunch of questions. His name is Ben. Hi, Ben. And so I kind of want to go through those quickly. Some of the stuff we may have already talked about, but I think some of it we didn't. And I think he asked 6 questions, and I think they're all very, very relevant to the DLC information that I wanted to get out there. So we'll just go through them quickly, and we'll answer each one if we have the information. Like, I know, Boss, you haven't done much of it, so you probably can't answer these, but certainly Derek and I probably could.
Yeah,
and some of it
I only did up to the statues. So if you want to know anything about the first 45 seconds of the DLC, I can answer that.
So, and some of it we already have discussed, so we'll sort of gloss over those. But the first question is, does it scale to your current level when you start the DLC? And that is yes. No matter what level you go, you have to be level 10 or above, but no matter what level you go in at, I believe the monsters that you come up against will be yellow. And I say that with the caveat that my character is only level 26, and it's my assumption that even if she was level 40, she would come up against yellow and orange mobs. So mobs her level and that were a little bit more difficult than her. The second question is it a completely independent story to the main story? I haven't finished the game yet, and I'm curious how it relates. And that, too, I would say yes. I basically, as soon as the DLC came out, I just diverged from the main storyline that I was questing along and went over to Gallows End. And so I think you can choose to do it when you finish the main quest line. You can choose to do it halfway through whenever. And it's basically just this little bit of additional content. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, that it will make a difference in the main original content at all, no matter when you do it. Question 3 is, how much time did it take to complete? And I can't answer that question because I haven't completely finished it yet. I would say it took me about 3 or 4 hours to do the main storyline, the main quest line in the DLC from beginning to end. But there's a lot more than that I haven't done yet. So, I know 38 says it's like 10 to 12 hours, I think, total. So I think if you take it slow, I don't know, Derek, how much time have you put into it so far?
2 hours, 3 hours, something like that.
Right. So I think you could fast track through the main storyline and finish it in 2 to 3 hours if you want to do everything. I think it's going to take you probably between 10 and 12 hours to do it. So that's that. Number 4 is, are there rare items only available in the DLC? Yes, there are. He says, just say yes or no, no spoilers. So I'm not going to say what those pieces are, but yes, there are rare items that are only available through the DLC. Number 5, and we could both answer this, Derek, because I think it's an opinion question. Is it worth the money in your opinion? So my answer would be yes. I say that just being able to meet the captain is worth the entire amount that you pay for the DLC. The rest of it could have sucked immensely, and if she had been the same as she is, I would have been happy that I spent the $10.
The captain is great, and you definitely want to go through like all her dialogue. Just absorb everything she has to say, because there's some gold nuggets in there. She's kind of saucy.
Kind of.
I say it's worth the money if you've beat Reckoning and you want to play more of the game, then yeah, definitely.
So the last question is, anything that disappointed you? So I would say, in my opinion, the only thing that I was really disappointed with was that it just seemed like it was a little bit too easy. I would have liked at least some of the, like you play against two in the main quest line. You play against two sort of mini bosses, and then you go up against Deadkel. And I would have liked for them to have been a little bit more. I would have liked them to have been challenging for me, and they weren't. And I'm a very casual player. I mean, there's a lot of things in the original game that are challenging for me, and playing on normal. And so I'm a little bit disappointed that I haven't really come up against anything that has really, like, challenged me. That's really my only disappointment with it.
And again, you thought the Baylor was easy, and I thought that was probably the hardest fight in the game for me, so...
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Not the Baylor fight, the fight...
Before it.
The Witch King, or whoever his name is?
Yeah, the guy right before Baylor.
Yeah, he...
It took me a while to figure it out, actually.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was really hard. I had a really... I probably died about 25 times to that guy before and I had to knock it to casual before I could beat him. That was really hard. That's probably the hardest fight in the game that I've come across so far.
Yeah, I think the problem maybe, and this is sort of maybe off topic, but the problem with designing bosses around mechanics like Reckoning is that they tend to be kind of like the old Mega Man bosses where you could stand in a corner as long as they never hit that, you know what I mean? There's a pattern that they're going to go. So,
right.
And it's hard to make a complicated encounter, but still make it reasonable when the thing is 15 stories tall.
Right. I mean, we can talk about Baylor another time. And you know, what we liked and didn't like about it, but
I actually thought the hardest battle was the final one, but we probably shouldn't really talk about the end of the game just quite yet.
No, I will go away. But getting back to question 6 from Ben, Derek, was there anything that disappointed you about the DLC?
Same as you. It was a little easy, you know, but we gave you guys some tips on how to avoid that, and I think, you know, I'm going to have a lot more fun with it now. And I'm making it more of a challenge for myself. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That, and it would be cool to see, like, some of the characters from the main story. So it's a little bit of a bummer that it doesn't really tie into the main story.
Right.
But it's not really a big deal to me.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That you really don't... It is very much a separate... You don't see any of the main characters that you've already run into, so that...
I at least want some more Agarth or Aelin Shear sometime in the series, like whether it be books or in the next game, whatever. I want to learn more about them.
It would surprise me if they didn't do that. I mean, they're both very popular characters, so I would imagine that they will. And they probably had very good reasoning behind wanting. I mean, I'm sure they wanted to highlight the characters that you meet in the DLC, and to bring in characters that you already love may have sort of taken away from allowing you to fall in love with these new characters. So I can see why they would have done that. But yeah, who knows what we'll get in the future.
I'm hoping for one that a DLC that really ties into Copernicus too.
I think that's the next... I remember right before Reckoning came out, Kurt basically said the DLC is intended to... Maybe that wasn't his wording. I think his wording was, we'll get our first hint at Copernicus in the DLC.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because it's basically... We basically know they're not going to announce anything at PAX because there's not... They don't have a big enough presence there this year.
Yeah.
So
I think that this DLC is going to set up... Atropos and I were talking about this on the official forums. The island that we'll be going to is one of the cluster of islands, I think he said, in the southwest of the Phalanx, and that's on that Copernicus map that got leaked as a detailed area. So potentially we'll be seeing things happen that might be reflected in the MMO 2,000 years later.
And I'll be quite honest with you. If they do nothing else but announce the name in the DLC, I think people will be happy.
Right. I'm hoping there's going to be, like, by the last DLC, there'll be, like, a trailer when you beat it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Or in the menu or something.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if they're intended to do anything that concrete, and I'll happily be wrong on that.
I'm just dreaming.
Yeah, I think it's more of a, oh, hey, this place will be in the MMO. You'll get to see it 2,000 years later.
Right.
And we're still going to have to read between the lines on that maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Right.
They're extremely tight-lipped, as I'm sure everyone's aware. So, I mean, everything's speculation again at this point.
Right. So thank you, Ben, for your questions. And I just want to, on that note, make sure that people know if you guys ever have questions about things that we talk about, or like Ben, if you have a set of questions that you want us to answer specific to something, please feel free to leave them on the webpage as comments in the show notes, and we will very happily use those as an outline for us to have things to talk about in the show. So again, thank you, Ben, for that. That was a good way of sort of rounding off our conversation about the DLC.
All right, so next we're going to talk about our individual character builds in Reckoning. Get it started, Rachel.
So my character in the game right now, her name is Narya. She is a primarily sorcery, but she has some might. My main goal, and anyone who has seen me post anything pre-Reckoning release knows that my goal was to build a battle mage. I am just so fascinated with the concept of battle mages. I love the idea that I can wield magic and wear plate so people can hit me as hard as they want, and I can throw magic at them to fight them off. I just think it's such an awesome concept, and I've never played a game where I could really do that. So that going into it, as soon as I knew that that was an option, I was completely focused on doing that. So when I started out, I put into sorcery and might evenly until I hit the battle mage destiny. And only recently, actually, have I picked a different destiny. I've played battle mage destiny for a long time. And I absolutely love it. I love that she wears plate, and I love that she can do quake, which I am fallen in love with. I absolutely love that ability. And for a while, she was much more might, and I was enjoying it much more than I expected I would, because my history of playing these kinds of games and playing MMOs is not, I do not play melee characters. I do not really like being sort of in melee. I like my characters are more stand in the back and shoot magic or shoot a bow or things like that. And I just really enjoyed her sort of being in the middle of everything and being able to, throw. And I pretty much use chakrams for everything. Like, I don't even use magic a whole heck of a lot. Because, boy, those little circles of steel just are a wonder. And so people beat on her, and she throws her chakrams around, and eventually there's a big circle of dead people around her. And I love it. I'm absolutely in love with that build. I've gone back to I'm hoping to put all the rest of my points at this point into sorcery, because she was always going to be heavy in sorcery and just have enough might to build her up to be able to do battle mage. And so I've sort of started exploring more into the sorcery, and I just recently switched her over to a destiny that is pure sorcery. And I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's pretty cool. And so I'm kind of going to take her on that path a little bit for a while, and I might come back to my later on, but for now, I think although she's going to continue to wear plate, I think she's going to sort of start to explore her more magical abilities and things like that. So my characters, because I'm such a big role player, my characters all do things for very specific purposes. Like, it's not just, I think sorcery is cool, so I'm going to roll a character that's sorcery. There's a story behind who my character is and why she makes the choices that she makes. And Bosner actually touched on this earlier. I have not been able to do any of the Traveler storyline because Narya is a very good person and she's not going to steal from people. So as excited as I am, Travelers has been one of my favorite factions to get into, like all of the reading about them up to the release of Reckoning. I've been like on the edge of my seat wanting to do their quest line, but I won't do them with Narya because she's a good person and she's not going to steal from people, and that's just who she is. So I've made a second character primarily to take through the DLC at a young level. She's going to go through at level 10, and she is a much more roguish type character. I'm going to play her completely finesse, and she's going to be a pirate. I've made her specifically for the DLC.
Nice. As far as my build goes, I was into the whole might and finesse kind of combo. I think I was a duelist or a warden, one of those destinies. But like I said earlier, when I got into Dead Kill, I just thought it was too easy. I was too familiar with it, so went ahead and switched my destiny over to a ranger now, which is like pure finesse, and I like that a lot better. I'm just still getting used to all the abilities, so I'm kind of like slow, which is good. Got a lot to learn. I haven't touched on any sorcery yet, but that's definitely probably one of the last things I'm gonna do when I play Reckoning. I want to like go through and do all the faction quests and everything, so sorcery will probably be my last one. I guess I'm kind of like attracted to I'm the opposite of Nari. I've always been attracted to the melee characters. I think the character in any game that I've put the most work into was a Berserker in EverQuest 1. That was a lot of fun at the high levels, at the end game. So kind of naturally got into finesse tree with Reckoning and loving it.
Yeah, this is gonna be boring because none of us have primarily played sorcery.
Well, I'm sort of primarily playing sorcery.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm a dual build, but well, I haven't yet played sorcery primarily, but I'm getting to that. So
see, I think, and maybe this will be something that they can hopefully on the next generation of consoles work around is, I've always played plate wearing classes, and I've said it before. I'm 6 foot. I'm like 230 pounds. I'm built like a linebacker. So when if I'm gonna not necessarily role play, but sort of envision myself in the character, I'm going to be the big, the Wolfgar type character. I'm going to be running around in full plate, using it like an impossibly huge weapon. And when I see myself, I think of, okay, that's sort of the role I would actually fill. A lot of my enjoyment comes from looking cool, doing things. So classically, plate has always tended to look the part. It always tends to look better than the other things. EverQuest 1, I mean, you really didn't have a lot of options, but the plate was...
Chain sucks in EverQuest 1.
Chain does suck.
So terrible, and it sucks because I like those characters.
I had a ranger for the longest time in EverQuest 1, and the chain, I would purposely downgrade my gear to wear the Wood Elf plate. But yeah, so I mean, a lot of the appeal to MMOs is that they have appearance armor, so I can wear the gear with the better stats and still have the matching set that I enjoy looking appear on my gear. So I played my first playthrough. I played a pure might character, and I even was ecstatic about it in the Heroes of Amalur thing that I got picked for. You know, if you read back, I was like, Quake is the coolest thing. I was like, sorcery. Oh, I could throw a fireball, or I can sneak around and be stealthy and kill someone in one hit. But a might guy can shape the earth, and Quake is probably the coolest move in the might tree.
No, probably about it. Quake is the coolest move in the game.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think it's the best ability probably in the entire game.
Yep.
The problem, it's not even a problem though. The situation I ran into is I kept eyeing finesse and sorcery going, well, the problem that I have with plate wearers is that they tend to be boring in terms of playstyle. I look amazing compared to everyone else, but they typically don't really have a lot of fireworks. Like a mage is going to be doing all sorts of crazy things, and a rogue is going to have all these trinkets and toys. And like a warrior, I kind of just walk around, hack people up with the same weapon all the time, which really isn't a problem typically for me because I look cool doing it. But what caught my eye was that in Reckoning, and I'm sure you guys might agree, the armor, that's the non-plate armor, looks amazing. It is just like robes in some RPGs are just like they're just wearing rags, which might be realistic or conducive to casting magic. I don't know, however they want to explain it. But in Reckoning, I think plate armor might actually be the worst looking of the armors. Like the leather armor, you just looks like, and it's because it's not this raggy stuff. You look like you're actually, fighting. Like, okay, I'm doing all these quests. I'm amassing a huge amount of money. I should look like I can afford decent armor. Like tight boiled leather and I'm not wearing rags. And I think that Reckoning showed me that perhaps my play style should be equivalent with the how I look, the appearance of my character. So I'm actually really I've been going back and doing every single quest that I just did on my finesse character, and I am having a blast, which sort of has me thinking. I know that we play the First Watch Guild plays EverQuest together, and so I made a tank because I was like, that's classically what I do. I tank and I wear the big armor and I look cool. And I wasn't really enjoying the play style, and that might be the first game where I didn't like the game because I was bored with the character I was playing, and then I splurged and subscribed and I unlocked the assassin class, and it was like exactly what I wanted. I'm attacking quickly, I'm walking in and out of stealth, doing special moves, and it's just all flowing like I'm dancing. And so I think for me, finesse is definitely probably my favorite tree right now. So we can probably go ahead and actually use that conversation on our next topic, which is what we're hoping for roles come Copernicus. I know a lot of people are asking us for Copernicus information, and I guess assuming that we have inside information, which I would love to have at this point, but we are on the outside looking in just like everybody else. So for me, I'm sort of at a crossroads here because when First Watch took the poll, I voted that I'd be tanking, which classically that's sort of one of the harder to fill positions as far as roles go. We're also assuming a lot. I know that we all know that Copernicus is going to have classes. We don't know if they're going to have the traditional Holy Quartet or even the Holy Trinity. They might throw a support role in there. Ian sort of confirmed that there will be a rogue-esque class. So I don't know if I'm going to go with that, knowing that the combat will be more traditional MMO. Rather than I know it won't be like finesse in Reckoning, but to sort of prepare myself, I've been playing my assassin on EverQuest 2, and I've actually rolled in WoW a rogue, just to sort of give myself a broad spectrum to really see if I can get into that type of character. Because I think if I can, I think that'll probably be what I'm playing in Copernicus.
And I think that's an awesome sort of viewpoint to take. And I think I always, so classically I play like a ranger type character, a support role. I'll play someone who, I always look for a ranger because I'm just kind of in love with bows and elves and things like that. So I always try to look for like a class that uses ranged weapon, and I prefer that over magic, although magic is my second favorite because, again, you're able to stand back from the melee and sort of do damage from a distance. So for me, that's always what I look at. But when I start a new game, I always try melee first because I am looking for the game that I can get into and do melee and feel like I can do it well. I thought when I started playing Star Wars, actually, one of the very first characters I played with was a Jedi Knight, and I absolutely loved playing a Jedi Knight in the beginning. It was just so much fun, and it felt very natural to me, and I was just amazed because I was in melee the whole time, and I just couldn't believe that I had found a game where I could be in melee, and I felt like it worked, like I could do it well. And then I started playing with other people, and that's where melee becomes difficult for me. When you're playing a ranged character, you can stand in one spot, and no matter where the enemies are, you can shoot at them from standing in that one spot, unless there's a mechanic of the fight that forces you to move. But when you're melee, you can't do that. You have to chase after people to hit them. And I've really discovered that is my frustration with melee. It's not a frustration with being in melee itself. It's a frustration with feeling like during the whole entire fight, I'm chasing after someone to hit. And I got into that as soon as I started doing group stuff with people in Star Wars. That's what I was doing. I was running around chasing after people, and it took like one run through of an instance with people in Star Wars for me to go, yep, this is not what I want to be doing. So with that said, I will definitely try melee when Copernicus comes out, just to see if it's something that how they do it, if they do it differently enough that I feel like it's something that I would enjoy. But I have a feeling that I'll probably, unless they do something radically different, I will probably end up falling back on my first being a support damage. That's what I will do first, and then my backup to that is being a support healer. But those are the roles I like, are support roles. I could never be a tank. You would not want me to be a tank for you. That would be bad.
Yeah, so. I can make an amendment to my statement. If they have an EverQuest 1 style bard where I have to sort of twist my abilities, and I don't think they'll have it, and I don't think that mechanic will ever come back. Rift sort of had it, but not really what I was looking for. I will play a bard straight up any day of the week. As cool as I want to think of myself running around, I would stand there playing a harp if that's what my character played. For a 10-minute boss fight, just playing a harp like a nobody in the back of the fight. I would do that, twisting like a champ if they had anything like that.
You never cease to amaze me, Bossner, in some of the things that you talk about that I like always. I think sometimes I have this preconceived notion of things that I think that you will like or you will think a certain way, and then you just completely blow that away for me, and it's something completely different. And you said when you play, what you like is how you look, and that just doesn't, in my head, that doesn't match up with how I sort of know you. It just doesn't make sense. It surprises me that something like that is so important to you. Not that it's bad. I mean, I think that it's, that's awesome that you like that, but it just doesn't, for me, it just doesn't add up in my head. So when you say that, that, if you could stand in the back of everyone and play a harp during a whole boss fight, it's just so not how I picture you.
When he said that about the harp, for some reason I got the Devil Went Down to Georgia stuck in my mind, and I'm imagining him back there playing his harp, and it's
playing a fiddle.
I think that's a fiddle.
Yeah,
right there.
It's a fiddle.
Yeah, it was a fiddle. Yeah.
I could play whatever I'm playing: drums, a fiddle, a flute. I'll play a flute like I'm the Pied Piper. I will just walk around playing a flute. Yeah, that's fine. No, I say I'll play a bard. Let me throw something on that. One of the reasons I fell in love with my bard in EverQuest was they were the masters of having trinkets. I had an item for everything. If I needed to charm kite, and I'm sort of dating myself. A lot of people that are listening are going to have no idea what I'm talking about. If I charmed something and turned invisible, it broke the charm, so I could finish kiting it. If I needed to turn invisible, I'm not going to cast the song that turns me invisible. I'm going to use my clicky, the thing I right click in my inventory that turns me invisible. If I want to have an illusion, I had masks all over the place. I could turn into any race in the game. I just had a toy that for half of them were useless in a raid, but it was just cool to have all these little things that I could go and farm on my own that just added a little bit of touch to my character that in case I ever needed. I mean, there were some boss fights where, oh, okay, it's going to be a wipe. Well, I don't have my Invis song meant, so I'll just click my cloak from whatever zone that was on Luckland, and, I'm invisible, I'm not dead. And the great part was, I was the only bard in a guild of 75 raiders, or was 72, whatever the number was. Any bard drops, boom, I got them instantly, and they were never armor. I never got armor. I was wearing the same armor that I hit 65 in for like 2 years. But it was always these little things that I could just do something a little different with on my character that really got me.
Listening to you talk about the bard, it really makes me hope that in Copernicus that they will make a role that is purely support, like a bard-like character, and what they do is throughout the fight is they offer buffs and things to the other people in their raid to help them to do better DPS. If there was a role like that, I'd probably jump on it just because of the idea of being a pure support. I mean, it fits in so well with my concept of characters that I like to roleplay. And so I think that would be really cool. And you're right, it is such a lost thing. You don't see that anymore in MMOs because everyone is so hyper-focused on who does the most damage. And so it would be very refreshing if Copernicus introduced that back and made that sort of an important thing again.
Right. And the problem that I tried playing a bard in Rift, and the problem was that eventually when you outgeared the content, there was no need for support. So the option I had was switch to my DPS spec, which had no bard choices in it, and it was basically a ranger or like a rogue, or get booted from the group. And so really the only time I really got to play my bard was in raids. The other problem is when MMOs today go to the homogenization of stats, they might say, okay, there's 5 types of buffs and there's 3 types of debuffs. When one character can apply 4 of the 5 debuffs, you never have a need for a duplicate of that character. So it came to the point where you only ever really needed one bard. So I really didn't get to do that so much in Rift.
So now that we've monopolized the conversation, Derek, tell us what role you will play or are looking forward to playing in the MMO.
I'm looking forward to kind of changing my style from melee to, and I'm kind of doing this with EverQuest 2 right now, but I want to know whatever's going to be the main tank and the main healer, the best of both worlds. I want to get to really know both of those classes in Copernicus, and I'm usually not somebody who really rolls alts, but I'm doing that now for EK2, and I'm probably going to do the same thing in Copernicus. I will say, however, it's far enough away that I could change my mind. Who knows? But I'm a little bored with the melee, how melee characters play. They need to be a little more interactive, a little more fun. Hopefully something that we'll start to see in the future of MMOs.
Yeah, it might sound very high schoolish, but I think that the MMO is going to be a good chance for a lot of people to sort of reinvent themselves. If they don't have support where it's pure support, I don't mean Rift or WoW support where it's built into a DPS class. I'm gonna stick to DPS because I sort of did my time, if I could put it that way. And so now for me, I'm just looking to sit back and race on meters or do whatever. So yeah, for me, I'm trying to figure out what type of character, and for me, I think it's a I don't want to say growing process, but and I don't want to say getting to know myself, but sort of I'm not seeing myself as this big brute anymore. It's more of about a year ago I started doing P90X, so I sort of realized I haven't played sports since high school, but now I'm realizing, oh, I'm incredibly athletic. Even though I got this huge frame, like I am athletic. So for me, it's sort of a reinvention of my play style, where classically I was running around in plate, but now maybe I could be a thief. Okay, I'm very broad shoulders, but maybe I could be sneaky, even though I'm clumsy. So it's sort of seeing my character. So like everybody knows when I play a game, I make typically my character an avatar of myself. So things I say in the game are representative of things that I would actually say in real life. So for me, running around being sneaky and quick didn't really make sense because I was never that. I was always very slow and so yeah. I think I'm very much looking forward to a lot of things about the MMO, but most of all, really getting in at the ground floor and really deciding, okay, I'm going to pick what's potentially going to be the most popular class. Yeah. But I don't care because I'm going to have fun doing it.
And we know Ian definitely did confirm that the leather armor looked cool. So you have that to look forward to.
Yes. Yeah. Different but cool. Yes. Yeah. I could gush all day about how awesome even the starting leather armor looks.
I agree. When you were talking about
awesome.
The way the armor looks in Reckoning, I mean, I think the thing I appreciate so much about it is just the detail. Like you were saying, that, in most games, like when you're wearing a robe, it's sort of just this almost two-dimensional sort of one layer, one color, maybe two colors, and that's it. And that is one of the things that I love about Reckoning is all of the armor, no matter what, no matter it's a starting piece that you just got or whatever, everything has layers and dimension, and there's just so much detail it's just really amazing. So I one of my probably my favorite set of armor is actually one that I'm not wearing, but I absolutely love the House of Ballads armor that you get when you go through and do that quest. I think it's just beautiful. And for a while, I was like, I should go back and start wearing robes and stuff again just so I could wear that armor. But I love the plate. One of the things that I absolutely love is that my character is wearing plate and you can't see any of her skin. That she's completely covered from head to toe, and that makes sense to me. I hate, and we can have hours-long discussion about this, but I really dislike plate armor where it only covers your midsection and it only covers your chest and all the rest of you is exposed. To me, that's as immersion breaking as technology is. So that's a whole nother discussion. So I think we can talk about our giveaway.
Okay, so we have two CD keys that we'll be giving away as a bundle. These are Steam CD keys. One is for the actual Reckoning vanilla game, so the $60 game for Steam. Bundled with that is going to be the Legend of Dead Cal DLC. These are Steam only. Just reiterating that, and we apologize for anyone else who can't play on Steam. So all you have to do is go to our Facebook page, right? Our Facebook page? Okay, Facebook page, and there'll be a link somewhere in the show notes. All you have to do is like us on Facebook. Super easy. You don't even have to leave feedback this time. You just have to press one button.
Yep.
So, yeah, we'll be giving it away as a bundle. We assume that a lot of people already have the game. So maybe you guys, if you're listening, you probably already have the game. So you could keep the DLC for yourself and give the CD key to a friend who maybe is thinking about the game and you want to give them a free shot at a full version of it. Yeah, so just go to our Facebook page and like us.
Facebook.com/wellpodcast. That's it for this episode. But before we leave you, I just want to highlight some of the more interesting things going on the official Reckoning forums. The second Reckoning DLC has been announced. It's called The Teeth of Naros. On the forums, you can find the official announcement thread, as well as a thread where you can submit any questions you have about the DLC. And if you're wondering, that comes out April 17th. A completely new forum section was added called Challenges, Dares, and Curiosities. An example of that is the Desert Island challenge that I was discussing earlier in the podcast. There's some pretty cool stuff in there. Check it out. The latest installment of Meet the Team is up. This one is with Matt Berner, who is the combat and systems designer. And of course, there's the usual suspects like Amuler captions. Each week, a new screenshot is posted up, and people try to come up with witty captions for it. And if you win that, you get a special forum title. And lastly, there's the Heroes of Amuler, where you can get to know some of the fans of Amuler a little better. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 3. We'll see you next time.